that Mars had been civilized, that there were people like us on Mars in the distant past, that this planet was loaded with artifacts, that there's all over the place are there artifacts, that there's pyramids there, there's the face, and there's all sorts of things you can discover there. And one of the things I said in the other video is that he had a photograph of 2 astronauts, or I don't remember how many astronauts it was, but that they're waving at the camera next to a gigantic pyramid, showing that they were there. It also appears that Alternative 3, although it's loaded with potential misinformation, that Alternative 3 is kind of in the right vein. But apparently the actual film itself is a hoax. But the actual fact that they went there and that they found some degree of life still on the surface of the planet was apparently true.
Yeah.
So anyway, you were saying something about 2001, that you found some validation on that.
Well, that's like another thread, if you like. Ever since we knew Henry, he was urging us to meet up, to communicate with Arthur C. Clarke.
Right. Actually, he gave us a list of people to meet up with, and Arthur C. Clarke is one of them.
Arthur C. Clarke was one of the people, and he said Arthur Clarke knows everything. Now, only about a week ago, he told Kerry and myself why. Well,
this is news to me. Okay.
Let's say he started giving a hint. He said, "You know what Tycho is, don't you? Tycho." He was kind of being quite urgent. Tycho, Tycho. Tycho is a big crater
on the moon.
It's a real place. Tycho.
It's kind of on the southern bottom, and it's like a big splayed out radial set of dust tracks from the crater.
Yes. They found something in Tycho. They really did find something.
Because that's where they find it. That's where they find the monolith in 2001.
That's where they find the black monolith.
Exactly.
Henry knows they found something on Tycho, and they found something because it had created a magnetic anomaly.
That's exactly what it was in the book.
Exactly following the book and the film. So then, of course, we said almost with one voice, "What do you mean? They found a black monolith?" He didn't know what it was. He didn't know what it was, but they found something, and he said.
Except that there is a testimony from Arthur C. Clarke in 2007, November of this year, in which he's saying, if you get up to the moon, because he was asked to speak for this X Prize for entrepreneurs going to with innovative space ideas. He said, look for a magnetic anomaly on the moon.
Yeah.
So now
obviously
Henry
is saying this. Arthur C. Clarke is actually backing it up here in 2007.
So we would like to, right now, as we speak, we're trying to establish contact with Clarke. He's 90 on the 16th of December.
Right.
He lives in Sri Lanka,
He lives in Sri Lanka. He lives in Colombo. He's still going strong. He's an elderly man. He's a Freemason, we've been told. Mm-hmm. He's a bit of an insider. He knows everything that's worth knowing. And we don't know whether...
We've got 2 people. We've got Henry telling us he knows, and we've got another person who's actually thinking of financing us to go because he's afraid that Arthur C. Clarke may pass on sometime soon, and that this information would be lost. Whether or not he'll reveal it, we'll have to wait and find out. But to get back to the subject,
this is just a little snippet here. This is just one of Henry's hundreds of throwaway remarks. It's about they found something on Tycho. So.
But Henry did tell us to contact Arthur C. Clarke, Ben Peach, Richard Hoagland. He said to get these people in a room together. There were a few others. Do you remember who they
Stan
are?
Tenen.
Stan Tenen, right. They all have a piece of the puzzle, basically. And the idea is to get them in a room, get them around a conference table just like this, and film them. And
what was interesting, actually, here, apologizing on Henry's behalf for the absence of mentioning the blonde guy's name here, is that, of course, a lot of the work on the Enterprise Mission website has been in collaboration with yourself and Richard.
Apparently the specific paper that Deacon was so impressed by was the paper on interplanetary climate change. And Richard has gone public already saying that I basically did that research. It's over 120 references from NASA, which very directly state that the entire solar system is experiencing climate change. It's not just the Earth with global warming, those type of effects, including brightness changes, magnetic changes, temperature changes, are occurring throughout the entire solar system. And that's a documentable fact. That's not a superstition. It's been publicly released. It's just that nobody ever took all the different pieces and put them together in one place. That's all I did. And that's why he was so excited about it, because it proves that something is going on.
Yeah. In his work with NOAA, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Association, NOAA, Henry had encountered all this a number of years ago,
Right.
including...
Actually, Daniel said the same thing. Daniel said that NOAA had discovered that the sun was actually becoming, it was going in the opposite direction of where they expect that stars usually evolve. That it was becoming, I guess it was becoming bluer and brighter. And that they were aware of this interplanetary climate change, but they were suppressing it from the people. And part of it was that they just didn't want to rewrite the textbooks about the way that stars evolve, because they found out it was backwards.
One of the things that Henry told me just a few days ago is that the way the sun works is not the way they teach you at school.
Oh, yeah.
But he also said
Yeah,
there is a brown dwarf. Henry said it was the second sun was a fait accompli, that this was just commonplace knowledge.
This is what the South Pole Telescope is for. I mean, a lot of people have kind of cottoned onto that by now. Henry stated that to me in bold terms. He says, he said the South Pole Telescope is there specifically to observe this incoming object, because it's going to be coming in the southern hemisphere when it comes in.
Personally, I don't think the Planet X model has a whole lot of validity. It appears that the primary driver of the climate change that we're experiencing at this time is moving into a domain of energy in the galaxy. And actually, when we talk about Dan Burrish's testimony, he's also saying his understanding of 2012 is that there's micro wormholes that are released from the sun, and that this has some sort of hyperdimensional transformative effect on everyone on the planet.
Yes. All that Henry will say is that there are a number of things that are all happening at the same time. It's like, this is my analogy, not his, my words, not his. It's kind of the way that I see it. It's like the way you get biorhythms, and suddenly, everything's happening at once. You're getting a kind of triple biorhythm crossover happening round about this time. You've got all these different factors are occurring. There's something to do with the galactic plane. There's something to do with solar activity. And there's something to do with all the scenarios that are taking place on this planet. There's something to do with the population problems. There's something to do with what some people on this planet are trying to do to take advantage of the chaos that's going on around about this time. And everything's coming together, almost like the climax of some movie, And just a few minutes ago we were talking about whether or not we thought this movie was going to be a happy ending. And we're both very optimistic. Well, this movie's going to have a happy ending, but it's going to, it's like kind of, sit tight, in your seats, because it's going to be quite a ride, I think, in the next few years. We were talking about.
Yeah. For those of you who actually are watching this video without getting the homework done first and watching the other one, it's important to note that the philosophical underpinning of everything that I teach is in this series of books called the Law of One series. And that was something I discovered in 1996, which contained references to all this stuff that I've been reading for the last 3 years. So many specific references that I was convinced that I had to be dealing with something authentic. And approximately 11 months